Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today's educational webinar brought to you by Physician Partners and the Physician Resource Center. Before I get started introducing our special guest today, just to note that everybody will be muted in the background, so if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask, please go ahead and type them in using the GoToWebinar interface, and as soon as the webinar is over, we will field them in the order in which they've arrived. So our special guest today is athenahealth, and we have on site Mr. Mark Brady, Sales Executive with Athena. He'll be covering improving cash flow and revenue management. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate Physician Partners letting us come in the office. I hope all of you San Diego physicians are safe from the fire going on right now. So what we're going to again talk about is improving cash flow and revenue management. What I really like about this webinar is that we're not really teaching anything new. This isn't like ICD-10. These are things that you most likely have heard about but may not be implementing in your practice. So for the agenda, we're going to talk about the challenge as well as 7 practical tips that you can be using to implement in your practice, as well as technology and tools that you'll be able to use, and then we'll have a question and answer session afterwards. So we're first going to actually start this off with a poll. What percentage of overall patient responsibility goes uncollected? I'll give you all a hint. It's not 10%. It's more than that. We'll give you a minute to enter in that information.
And as soon as the results come through, we can go ahead and show them to everybody. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. The results are pouring in. Okay. We'll go ahead and close the poll for you here. And here we'll show the results.
So the answer is 50%. 50% of patient responsibility goes uncollected. And the real question is, why does this happen? So let's peel it back for just a moment, pull the curtain back, and we'll take a look at what patients think. And the big number that really stands out to me here is 32% of patients don't know what their payment responsibility is when they leave the office. 70% of patients are interested in making an online payment, and 63% would use a payment plan if it was made available to them. Here we're going to take a look at your days in accounts receivable. You have your average claim, which is about 42 days, co-payments about 18, and then you look at it, it almost doubles from your average claim. Deductibles are almost at 80 days, co-insurance almost at 90, and then no insurance, of course, much harder. We're going to have another poll question here for you. Out of these payment options, co-payment, deductible, and co-insurance, which is the highest amount that goes uncollected, or highest percentage that goes uncollected?
All right, the results are coming in here. Okay. We'll go ahead and share these out with everybody.
Now, the answer here, surprisingly enough, is actually deductible. You would think it would be co-insurance, but you look at where we're at with co-payment at about under 5%, and now you've gone all the way up to deductible, which is at 18%, almost 4 times the amount. And you look at the days in accounts receivable of tracking down that funds, that's under 79 days, a very big disconnect here. If you want to look at how this affects your practice, you can see across the board, self-pay is a large percent of your practice. Doesn't matter what specialty you're in, it's obviously a big part of your practice. And what we want to help you with is some ideas to help you collect those funds. So just looking on the practice end, from start to finish to pre-visit all the way through to follow-up, there's different parts of your practice that can be helping you collect this. It starts with just simply creating a self-pay policy, but then goes into check-in where you're collecting and completing your HIPAA forms, confirming demographics, collecting your co-pays, even to the physician itself, for just simply reminding the patient that you do have a payment and to speak to the front desk about it. Going all the way through to the end where you're going to try and collect these. Now, we'll make these slides available for you, so if you want to go back and take a look at each one of these, we're going to actually start at tip number 1 here. It all starts with the first part, just creating a plan, letting the patients know that they will have responsibilities, so they're not shocked by this at any point in time and they're prepared for it when you do ask them for those funds. Section 1 here describes what the policy covers. So you'll definitely want to meet with your legal counsel to make sure you're meeting all state guidelines and as well as individual payer guidelines. Now, we want this to be pretty broad. We use the 80-20 rule here. So you want the language to cover about 80% of your plans. Section 2, describe generally that you will hold patients responsible for these fees. One thing we like to point out, especially in this part, is you want the patients to understand what it is you're talking about. Using words like deductibles and co-payments. We all know what those mean, but a lot of times patients don't. So you want to use very general language here. A good example would be to let the patient know that you're going to bill their insurance. What the insurance doesn't pay will be the patient's responsibility. Section 3, tell the patient you expect payment. A lot of folks have an issue with this. They don't want to ask sick people for money. They have problems at the front desk asking for money, but let the patient know when you can expect payment at the time of service. So again, there's no shock, there's no surprise, and they can be prepared for it. Moving on, we have clearly described late payment charges and any kind of discount plan that you may offer. Then number 5, considering what happens, the consequences of non-payment. Section 6 would be patient acknowledgement. Another part of this would be to include this with your original forms. So when you have a new patient and they're signing their HIPAA documents and they're signing other forms in the office, include this with it. So a brand new patient will know what you expect when it comes to patient payments. Tip number 2 is really getting your staff involved. And your staff is really the front lines when it comes to collecting payments up front. There's different methods you can use to get your staff involved, offering, doing a lunch or dinner. But we found the real key is the why. Not telling them what they need to do, but why they need to do it, why it's important to your practice that you collect these funds, and why it's important that you do it in a very timely manner rather than doing it on the back end. You'll also notice that certain staff members may be better at this. Certain staff members may be more comfortable asking for payments. You want to point those staff members out, figure out which one they are, and help them work with the other staff, put them up front to do those collections for you. We've also seen a good benefit with incentives with your staff. So whether it be free lunch or coffee card, whatever would be a Starbucks card, something to incentivize your staff to collect those payments for you. Now, once you have your staff involved, you really need to give them the tools to collect those payments. You can implement a pre-authorization credit debit card storage policy where you can automatically bill anytime those fees come in. You definitely want to consider taking credit cards, taking checks, HSA, FSA cards. You want to be able to offer patients an online patient portal to make payments online. Most patients, when they receive a bill, they want to go online. They don't want to deal with paper. They don't want to deal with mail. And when they go online, they want to do it at their own rate. So it might be early in the morning. They don't have time to call your office, but around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, they might take the time to log onto your portal and make that payment. You should really give them the option if they want to do that. Second and third most important one here is contracting with a live operator service to accept payments outside of business hours. Patients are busy. They don't have time during the day, but when they get home, when you and I all handle our bills as well, they might need to call the office if they can't get online and make a payment, and there needs to be someone there to answer the phone and take those payments for you. Another great system is real-time adjudication. Athena works with a couple different payers for this, United, Humana, where we can submit a claim before the patient even leaves the office, and within seconds get a return to let us know exactly what the patient's the patient responsibility is for this. With that knowledge in hand, you can take those payments. You can at least tell the patient what their responsibility is so they know. And really put payment plans to work for your practice. So if you get that real-time adjudication and it's $1,000 and they can't make that payment right now, give them the option to do a credit card plan. This is a standard thing that happens across the industry with multiple different groups. If you can offer a credit card plan where they can store that on file and make a payment, patients want to do this, and it makes it easier for them to make those payments. Next part is to encourage patients. Encourage them to make payments, either by a time of service payment discount, a cash discount. Let them know if they don't pay on time, there could be an additional charge. Now, you might not be able to implement all of these services, maybe one. And if you do, one thing we definitely recommend is that you track this. So be fair to yourself. If you're doing write-offs, if you're doing discounts, track that. Make sure that you're not doing too much or giving away too much of that money. Now, this one I really like, and I think it's worth its weight in gold, having an automated reminder call service. So prior to patients even coming in, you can have a reminder call go out to that patient, remind them of their appointment. Just using strictly reminder calls, Athena has seen an 8% reduction in their no-show rate on the first-year clients on average. But this goes more than just reminding patients for an appointment. You can also use it to remind them that they have copays, so that when they do come into the office, they do know they have a copay and are expecting to pay it. With the reminder service as well, it's not used for just appointments. If you have patients that have overdue balances, you use the reminder call service to reach out to those patients, remind them of balances. And if you have a live operator connected with this service, if a patient does get that reminder call, they do realize they have a past due balance, they do want to make a payment, they can connect with a live operator and make that payment. As you can see here, and I know this number is a little old, in 2012, we had a number of practices send out automated self-pay reminder calls, and we collected a large sum of money just doing that, strictly by giving patients the options to do it themselves. Tip 6 will go with the follow-up specifically for your practice. So, of course, at the advance notice, you want to let them know there's copay expectations, but even after that, if a patient leaves the office that day and a copay wasn't collected, we've seen that the best form or best practice is to contact that patient within 24 hours, that night if possible, to remind them that they didn't pay their copay, and try and collect that. The longer that goes out in days receivable, the more money it's going to cost you to collect it. Call their cell phone first. Don't try their home. I don't even have a phone line, so you have to call my cell phone first. We've seen in a per statement cycle, so per month, make 2 reminder calls, send 2 emails. Really do everything you can to collect with these patients as fast as possible. If you do have a patient portal, make sure that it posts its balances so patients can check their statements. Make sure that they can make electronic payments online. If you're doing mail paper statements, send those out monthly. After about a 4-month period, we've seen that it's not worth as much as it would be. So really look at a 4-month period. Also, if you are mailing paper statements, see what you're being charged for that fee. If you're paying more than 60 cents per statement, you might want to take a look at it and reevaluate who you're working with. And then finally, if all else fails, all other methods don't come through, look to getting with a collection agency. Now, a couple things we like to point out about a collection agency: make sure you properly vet whoever it is you choose to go with. Make sure that they have good responses from patients. This is an extension of your practice, so you don't want people hassling your patients and being rude to them over the phone. And you also want to vet them because you want to see price. Pricing varies from collection agency to collection agency, so definitely look around, see who has the best price, who has the best recommendations. Athena, we work directly with a company called Transworld. If you've ever heard of them, we have great rates with them as well. So something to keep in mind as you're vetting this process. So what we're going to look at here is what your vendor can do for you. So not as much as your staff, but the tools that your vendor can provide. And this goes again through the whole patient flow. So we're looking at providing a patient portal, ways to communicate with your patients, anticipated copay. One of the big ones here is enable insurance eligibility checking. If you're not checking eligibility prior to a patient coming in, you're potentially losing money. That patient may not be eligible that day, so you're not going to get paid for it. You could put another patient in that place and get paid for it. As well as most eligibility checks, when they come back, they'll tell you what the current copay is. So if that has changed since the last time you saw the patient, instead of having to track them down for that $10 extra, you can just take care of it by doing some simple pre-work before that patient comes in. At the check-in process, you're enabling insurance card scanning, dropping that information directly in. You're able to take credit cards. You're able to store credit information for future balances, set up payment plans. Post-checkout, you're looking to provide scripts to your staff to collect copays, collect deductibles, provide real-time adjudication so you can give your patients an idea of what they should be paying right then and there. And then on the back end, providing a portal so they can make payments, letting them see their statements online, automated reminder calls, live operators, all sorts of different methods here you can use. Now we're going to cover the technology itself. We believe you really need to have all of these tools to really tackle self-pay. You need to have a reminder call service. You need to have live operators, payment estimators, text message reminders, patient portals, credit card processing. Now, you really can go two ways with this as far as looking at a vendor. You can go with a vendor that has all of it included into one system. And if you don't do that, the vendor you choose has to be able to integrate with these systems. I'll give you a good example. So practice partners here, they use Clientele as a reminder call service to connect with your current practice management system. So they have at least the ability to integrate with reminder calls. So again, really what you want to look at is getting these tools, whether you get it in one system or you get it with multiple systems. It's really your choice, but what you can lose if you're integrating all sorts of different processes is really some functionality. What we've seen at Athena, just by implementing this into some practices, this is a orthopedic group. It had 20 plus doctors prior to coming to Athena. Their self-pay days in accounts receivable were 147 days. They had no patient portal, no online credit card processing, no automated reminder call service, no ability to take payments after hours. Within a year of putting them on our systems, we had cut their self-pay by over 50%. We enabled them to send automatic pay reminders. Within a 72-hour time period, we collected $91,000 in outstanding fees for this patient or for this client. Now, again, these are best practices that we've seen, that we've implemented on a practice, but just using all of these tools, combining them all together, there's no magic button. There's no one thing that you can do. It's really 100 little things. What we found at Athena is putting these things together in one integrated system allows better functionality. Now, any of these systems that you want to see, you'll have my information at the end of this webinar. If you'd like to contact me to see a demonstration or have questions about how this would work for your practice, I'm local here in San Diego, so I can definitely get in contact with you and work with you. Athena offers a number of systems. Athena Collector, it's our practice management software. It's what we use to get our clients paid. In 2006, we released our own EHR. We call it Athena Clinicals. It's meaningful use, stage 2 certified. We work with paid for performance plans across the board to help our physicians get paid through that. In 2010, we released what's called Athena Communicator. And this is what really covers a lot of the tools that we talked about today. The Athena Communicator system has the patient portal. It has online credit card payments. It has automated reminder calls. It has live operator, all included into one system. 2011, we released a new system called Athena Coordinator. This helps track outgoing orders, making sure every order that goes out is closed and the results are received. In 2013, we actually purchased a system maybe a lot of you are currently using called Hippocrates. We have one more poll that we wanted to bring out for you before we let you go. If any of you are interested in learning more about Athena or how these systems can work for you, if you have any additional questions, you can please let us know. We're more than happy to help you out. If you have any more questions for us here, we can go ahead and go do a question and answer session.
Yeah, that's great, and great presentation, really great. let's go. Yeah, if you have any questions right now, you can type them into the GoToWebinar interface, and we can go ahead and field those as they arrive. We'll go ahead and close the poll that we have open right now, and bring it to the last slide here, which has contact information and email address for him here. But I wanted to point out here, the thing that you're highlighting is the automation of things, bringing back the value of the time spent in the practice of the things they're doing clinically, and automating the other things, going and collecting the money, reminding the patients. Before you even jumped on today, you mentioned that if there's a patient reminder call that goes out and they have to reschedule, they can go ahead and get automatically connected to your call center, which handles the reschedule. Is that right?
Correct. So it's all about taking care of it beforehand rather than spending the money to go after it afterwards. What we like to say is the services that we provide allow your staff to do higher value tasks in the office. Instead of spending that time 2 hours during the day dialing numbers for people that aren't even home, you let our reminder call service handle that so your staff can focus on patients that are in the office.
That's great. We do have a question that's arrived for you here. Are we able to get a printout of the presentations?
Yep, absolutely. So I believe we're going to make this available.
Tomorrow it'll be sent out via email.
Yep, and you'll be able to access all of this information.
Yep, there'll be a link that comes from the GoToWebinar saying thank you for attending, and you'll have the PDF link to download all the slides. It doesn't look like there's any more questions that have popped through, but I'd love to thank you and Athena for doing this presentation. This was really great.
Oh, absolutely, and we're definitely available for more. I'm sure we're going to see more of you.
Likewise. Okay, and one last note to everybody, we do have our annual meeting taking place tomorrow evening here at Scripps Mercy Campus. If you'd like to come and see all the excitement and be part of it, you can RSVP by calling the office at 619-359-6600. And with that, we'll say thank you to everybody. And yes, as you said, hope everybody's doing okay with the fires.
Yeah. Stay safe, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.